Okay, so I go ahead and get started. We're doing a roll call to look for some swing trades for the week coming up, which would be Monday, May 4th through the 8th, 2026. So this video is relevant for that time frame. And I'm going to start with just going down my watch list. If you are curious as to how I trade and really anything else that has to do with trading and what I do, I do have a brain dump, which is what I'm calling it. It's basically a course, but it's me just sharing everything that I know about the stock market and how I use that information to make money. So if you're curious about my strategy or how I draw my zones and what I trade and how I trade, all that information is there. And it is a work in progress, so I will continue to upload, but that information is going to be linked in the description box, which you can also go to thetradingmama.com. Brain dump is located there, and now we're just going to go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to go down and look for anything in the zones. So I still need to move that to regular. I'm also going to be cleaning up my watch list as well, because some of these I did trade last week, and so I used this time to also clean up my watch list of any lines or position sizes that I don't need. It looks like Netflix is back in a buy zone. Okay, let's keep going. No. Okay, it looks like Meta blew through that zone. And it was sitting up here in a sell zone. Then we also had our earnings right here, so I want to acknowledge that gap. And there's also this gap right here. So sitting in between two zones and really two gaps. So we'll see what Meta ends up doing. Let's go to PanW. We're heading towards the sell zone, and we'll see what it does when it gets up there. Actually, it might get there by Tuesday if it continues going up. So I'm gonna mark that as a sell zone just because I do want to keep an eye on that to see if I can possibly get a put to either Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see. Nothing on Adobe. It's like Microsoft was coming up to the seller's gap and then turned back around. CRM is nothing. I have to talk low because my son is sleeping in here in my room, so I don't want to wake him. AMD is at an all-time high. Is it all-time or 52? All-time. So I don't really touch things that are all-time highs. For those of y'all who are curious, I've been trading for 6 years. I've been trading consistently for the last maybe 2 years. Basically, from the time I found out I was pregnant, I was like, let me get serious about this. So Tesla, I day traded Tesla last Friday, so that's what all these lines are. And I like to start with a cleaner chart coming into the week, so Sunday's ideal to do these. And I think I will continue to upload them here on YouTube. I was doing lives on TikTok, but I like this because then I can actually upload this and refer back to it. But if you guys have any questions about general trading questions or me, feel free to leave those in the comments and I can answer those questions in the next video. I would like to at some point do these live. It's just hard to live stream on YouTube because of my son. On TikTok, it's just a little easier. I'll say, let me go further back to see if there's a zone up here. Okay. A lot of these stocks on my watch list had earnings last week, so we are going to see some big movements. I don't like to trade things that are too close to where earnings calls were. Earnings for Home Depot are in a couple weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks from now, so we have some time. And Home Depot is also heading back into a buy zone. So we're going to put that flag there, continue to watch it. Looks like it was attempting to... Oh no, it did. It filled in that buyer's gap. So we can delete that. And it filled in that gap too, and now it's heading back down. I'm curious to see what happens with Home Depot. But let's keep going. See, like stocks like this where I haven't touched them in a while. I'm gonna come on here and clean up all these green lines, all these alerts. Like get rid of all of that you don't need. Okay. That way we can reset. So it looks like Boeing is still playing around in this sell zone. I did trade Boeing when it was up here. I traded it down and it looks like it went down, touched the EMAs right here and then popped back up. So we may be looking at a potential double top if it comes back up in this area. So you have 1, 2 double tops are notorious indicators of price dropping. So we'll see what happens there. And at this point, price is further enough away for me to acknowledge this buy zone here. And then I do flag anything that is all-time highs like SPY. SPY's at all-time high. Nvidia was at all-time high. It is no longer, so I just erased that flag. And this is a bit of a resistance line right here. I'm gonna acknowledge. See what happens when it comes down into this area here. Apple also had earnings. Thing is, Apple did jump up from the earnings. The next day jumped up, still closed within this zone, but got as high as almost near the 52-week high, which is interesting. High was established here, so I'm not gonna delete that zone, but I also don't like what it's doing, and I don't like what the MACD is showing me, so we might not be touching Apple. But I am going to put it in the sell zone because that's what it technically is. And I'm going to delete this line. So, Charter, I wrote, was at a 52-week low. And I did hear that, I don't know if it was the CEO. Let's see. Yeah, no, not the CEO, but the director, Charter Communications Director, purchased shares worth over 995,000. And oh no, the CEO purchased 1.1 million. So yeah, they've been buying up Charter a lot. Charter is technically on sale. I'm pretty sure if it's not at the bottom of the RSI, it probably was. Let's check. Yeah, it was at the bottom. This candle was definitely at the bottom of the RSI and hovering near that buy zone. So that would be a long-term type of play though. I do have a flag for that too. Anything that is at the bottom of the RSI is purple. Let's look for Autodesk. No, nothing. Amazon was at a 52-week high. Google is at a 52-week high as well. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother trying to chart this right now. AAP is really choppy right now. Don't like that. Shopify is as well. It's not really going anywhere. So I do have a flag for that. The orange flag is usually consolidation. Nike is choppy as well. It's sitting in between two gaps, reacting to both the seller's gap and the buyer's gap right here, and it's just hovering in between both. We might be looking at some potential breakouts too, by the way, now that I'm looking at it, because if you pull it in, you see price making high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then you have the stagger, right? This is your flag, your bear flag, stagger, then a drop, and then you have low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So you have that move happening, and then you have this drop, and then a slight pull back up. But I do feel as though just around here we'd be still looking for a breakout to the upside. You have this up, down, broke trend here. And then popped up here with more than what it normally moves. ATR is 2, and this was a $3 candle. So, and then you have volume, significant volume. So it does show that buyers are trying to push this up. It's giving me buying sentiment, but still, consolidation I like to flag just because of potential breakout trades like that. No, I don't typically trade those, but I mean, if you know how to do it, then you know how to do it. Well, I know how to do it, I just don't typically trade it, but I'm saying I flag them just in case I'm like looking for a potential flag. And same thing with this. It's in a downtrend and then consolidating. You do have some resistance right here. And that's how you know you have a good line, when you keep finding candles to, well, we're not hitting those anymore, but you keep finding candles to touch it for, let me lock it. That's why I lock my lines. So we'll see what happens when shop gets up to 134. And then Nike was the same way. It was like massive movement to the downside, and then you have this little consolidation. So we could be looking at another bear flag. Humana is in its process of closing this gap. We don't know if it'll finish closing the seller's gap. It's not in a zone. Berkshire just left the buy zone. Need to find. Yeah, I don't like how choppy it is. That's just a little too choppy for me. Zoom is at an all-time high. We can get rid of that. Grayscale. There's nothing on Grayscale. IWM is the same as SPY. They move pretty much the same way. Walmart. Walmart is too close to a 52-week high for me to do anything, and it's sitting in a sell zone at the 52-week high. The MACD's still curling up. I don't like what I'm seeing. Wouldn't work for my strategy, at least the one I'm looking to trade. For 2. So blue is a no. Baba is Not in anything right now. I don't even know why I have Wayfair on here. I thought I took that off. But she's here. And she blew through that demand zone. UNH is in a sell zone. Delete these lines for now. I have to go back in there and add them. Lockheed is consolidating near a buy zone, but not quite in one, so we're going to keep moving. DDG is in a sell zone. Did to the double bottom, so I wrote that, but and earnings is coming up on Thursday, so it might hover. It might consolidate in this zone until earnings, and then on Friday we might see a drop. No, we might not see a drop. We might see a push. You have a weekly supply zone here, so price could go up to 157, 158. Targets at an all-time high or near one. Have ATR twice. I'm not gonna touch that. UPS is in between. Disney. These are now the smaller stocks, the smaller cap, like not cap, but like the smaller moving stocks. That was my TV. Disney's not doing anything right now. BBY. It's in a demand zone that is huge, by the way. But it was touching near this 4 hours, so we're gonna look at it. STC is not doing anything. Well, sure it is. Until I write my notes. Baidu is nothing. MicroStrategy. I don't even know if I'm trading MicroStrategy. And Palantir is a lot. It's kind of choppy for me. And we have earnings coming up tomorrow, so I'll really see what earnings is gonna do. Yeah, even on the weekly, like, I don't like this. Spread out some. We can maybe get. Okay, so from that list, stocks and demand zones. We need to wait for Netflix to start showing some buying interest right now, so it's not exactly ready. I do like these candles on Home Depot though, but I don't like what it's showing me on them on the daily. And BBY is the same thing. I would like to see more buying presence. So we'll see what that first couple of hours tomorrow looks like for these stocks. See the supply zone. We have let me move PNW down because it's hovering near one. It's not quite in there yet. Apple. I don't know. Apple's actually too close to all-time high, so we're gonna adjust that. Take Apple off. UNH. I do really like actually. Let me move. Is UNH? I do really like UNH right now. Yeah, I like UNH a lot. Yeah, I like UNH. Love DDG. Again, if you want to understand a little bit more about what I'm doing, I explain all of this in the brain dump on my website. Could write it some to some. I don't like what it's doing on the daily though. And like we say, earnings is on Thursday. I don't really like to hold things through earnings either. So that is the roll call. Those are the stocks. It looks like I'm really liking UNH. And I'm gonna keep an eye out on excuse me. I'm gonna keep an eye out on Netflix. So yeah, it's 9:36. I was probably about to call it a day and go to sleep after I upload this. So yeah, happy trading.